isn't big data, ironically, still throw it back to us? I mean, you talk about machine with human refined. What percentage is the human refined? I mean, what does it mean to be human refined? Is it, am I either not overriding the data, but am I choosing one of 6 possible answers to say that's the right answer? I mean, isn't the irony of big data that it throws it back to us? Isn't big data ultimately really about us, or not?
You know, because we talked about this previously, big data is actually about algorithms, but that doesn't sound as sexy as data. And so what I'm talking about with human intervention, you could look at as tuning of the algorithms, of shaping, you know, and instead of having to understand the math, which is what the wonderful data scientists and engineers do, when you give a very intuitive way for humans to say a little more like this, a little less like that, they're tuning the algorithm, as is human interaction with the output of the algorithm, a natural tuning mechanism if, to Mike's point, there's a way to get that data back in to the system so that the system can learn and that data can be shared in a way that is secure and private and speedy.
Donna, what's your take on the human versus the machine answer with big data? Is big data really just another way of saying we're still making the decisions, we're just getting some more input?
Yeah, I think that, you know, we're still at a point where there's always going to be, I mean, part of it is, we haven't really talked about this, but is the whole subject of governance, right? We're governing data that we haven't really in the past, right? You know, if you think about Twitter data and doing sentiment analysis, how do you really think about governing Twitter data, right? That's a little bit difficult. I mean, how do you decide what's valid, what isn't? So there's those types of questions. We had an interesting one with a customer, and I was thinking about it. What Joelle was talking is that, you know, basically they were looking at like customer loyalty programs, and they couldn't figure out why there was these weird correlations between, like, you know, people over 65 who go to early bird, you know, specials at restaurants, and then something to do with chicken McNuggets, and then there's something to do with like a healthy choice, right? And what they figured out is because people lie, right? They fill out these surveys, but part of what their algorithms were able to suss out in the data was, well, yeah, but people don't always tell the truth. You know, are we really going to say we ordered the the hamburger, and the curly fries, and the milkshake? Are we going to say
the integrity of the data and product?
Has a special healthy lean next to it. So I think there's always that. I think we're just at a point where, you know, until there will be a point where we get to sort of the prescriptive, maybe automatic decisions are made based on what the data is telling us, but probably in a phase where, you know, it's still going to be a lot of human kind of final, you know, as Joelle said, well, maybe a little more of this, maybe a little more of that, right, until we perfect it.
It sounds like a slippery slope, perhaps, but Sanjay, your sense of human versus machine on big data, are we just really running big data ourselves?
No, I mean, I think our philosophy, and I think it echoes what Joelle said from the research, is that the best insights come when you combine human interaction with machine learnings and machine insights. And the reason why that's important is because it's the human beings that have the business context around what's happening, right? Whether it's a seasonal promotional campaign, whether it's a new infrastructure that's put in that's supposed to support a new go-to-market approach, you know, the machine learning will point out an anomaly, will point out something that's unusual in your infrastructure or in the way data is being generated. But it's the humans that are able to say, hey, this is relevant, this is not relevant to my day-to-day workings or even to my strategic thinking. And that's where the tuning comes in. And so we don't, you know, I think I would echo what Joelle and Donna said, you can't separate and you can't divorce the human interaction from the machine learning.
Mike, can you separate the human from the machine learning with big data?
I'm thinking back to the age of coal and steam engines, where you have the guy with the hammer versus the pile driver. But you know, I think the analogy I would throw out there is, if you've got bad data and you've got bad analysis and bad judgment or no judgment, then big data is just going to help you drive off a cliff faster, right? So one of the things that we've noticed is you know, data cleanliness and data quality. we're not dealing with big data in a sentient artificial intelligence way just yet. This is still basically a multiplier for looking at lots of data, and if we don't bring the same human judgment to it that we do on small data or any data projects, we're just multiplying that fallacy, I think, a little bit more. Sure.
Yeah, and of course we humans sometimes get the data that we need to know, but we don't want to act on it. I mean, look at the whole global warming question. We have a lot of data on it. Whether or not we're actually acting on that data is a big question, and perhaps a topic for another day.